Hi everyone, thank you for watching our video. This is from our recent vacation. We spent a couple of days in Dinosaur National Monument checking out the petroglyphs and all the dinosaur bones. Justice had a wonderful time checking all of that out. He was in heaven. The other the girls also, of course, had a great time as well. We decided our first day there, we got there a little bit late to the park, and decided on our first day to go into the wilderness area to check out the convergence of the Green and the Yamba rivers. We wanted to drive down Echo Park Road, see the petroglyphs, Whispering Cave, there's Steamboat's Rock right there we wanted to check out. So we decided to kind of push the envelope a little bit and run into the wilderness area and drive that road down and check out the viewpoints on the way. And when we got to the bottom, obviously we saw all the cool things to see, ran into some interesting fellas, stayed a little bit too long talking with them, so by the time we were heading back up out of the road, it was a bit dark. We had an hour-and-a-half drive to the hotel, and when we got back to the hotel, we discovered this. What you should be seeing here is a rooftop tent mounted to 3 Yakima wisp bars, aka foil bars is what they're called now. Instead, what you see are 2 wisp bars and the sad remnants of the feet of the other wisp bar, which busted off and is laying who knows where at this point. From here, fortunately, we were at a hotel for the night because we knew this winter storm was coming in and everyone warned us it was going to be a doozy. So we booked a hotel just for the safety of the kids. So at this point, we get into the hotel, we call the sheriff, we call the park, we call everybody we can think to call, trying to figure out what to do. We wanted to make sure if it had fallen off on the highway in the hour-and-a-half drive to the hotel in the dark, that people were looking for it, that they knew to watch out, etc., etc. We did all that we could do, and by then it was pretty late. We were quite exhausted, so we just put it in God's hands and went to bed. I successfully slept pretty well until about 4 a.m. Once I woke up, my brain reminded me that the tent was gone, and we started thinking and formulating a plan. What you will see from here in the video is us driving back in the unique conditions and trying to hunt for the tent. We split screen part of it. You'll see on the left, nice warm weather. It's in the 70s or 80s. On the right will be something very different. About 15 hours or so of time difference between the two, so not a huge amount of time. Things changed very quickly out there. So yeah, here's the rest of it. I'll give you a recap of what you witness a little later on in the video.
give it an honest try, okay? It's gonna hurt, it's gonna be heavy. I don't want us to be right now looking at it. Let's spin it. Okay? Open the way to our touch, okay? I guess we picked it up. I was picturing we were going to pick up an end and walk with it. I'll bet So, there's some brackets. And we'll take the lift. Pull all the brackets over
As you can see, we got the tent back. Some good Samaritan found it the night before and moved it over to the side of the road for us. And by God's grace, it was still there in the morning. So we got it. A couple thoughts on what you saw. We drove out there early. We called the park on the way out. They tried to find the law enforcement ranger to see if he could get out there to help us, but obviously he could have been anywhere in this massive park at the time. Kyla kicked in the door of the superintendent basically to get a hold of somebody and talk to him. They sent us out there on our own, told us to check back in with them when we came back. Seemed pretty confident that we'd be fine, but you know, when you talk to Kyla, you see there's a woman that can do anything. So I'm sure she instilled a lot of confidence in them, so they weren't too worried about us. We got it on our first attempt. We were really surprised at how easy it was to get up. Obviously, our adrenaline was going, I'm sure, but it is 160 to 180 pounds, so nothing terrible, but also nothing light. Notice as we're driving up the spot where the truck was during the snowstorm while we were putting it on, you can see how much the conditions changed while we were out there. So a couple of thoughts on the situation and whatnot. The tent is damaged. It still functions fine, but there's definitely some carnage to the outer shell, the top and bottom plates, if you will. They're chunked up pretty good. The ladder feels kind of funky now, a bit loose. We did manage to find all the brackets. One was right in front of the truck and one was under the truck. So we were able to put it back on, and it's still on our truck exactly how we put it on, right there on the side of that hill. So, you know, we're confident that the tent will ultimately be fine. We'll take it in and have it looked at just to make sure everything's working good. But it's good. We camped in it several nights on the trip. We didn't abandon it. We weren't scared to use it. We used it, and it worked out great, even with only 2 bars under it. We originally had 3, but obviously one of them, the foot, is busted to pieces. So we'll have to decide what we want to do there. Why did it fall off? We're going about 10 to 12 miles an hour coming up out of there around those curves and bumps. They were extremely bumpy in a couple of spots. Ultimately, I don't know why it came off. We drove on this trip alone up to 80 miles an hour in winds and this and that and the other. We did a pretty gnarly little off-road up above Estes Park. The tent never moved on any of those conditions. So I don't know if it was just the rapid vibrations that caused the little brackets to flex enough that it started sliding or what. I really don't know what caused it to come off. But obviously it slid towards the back. All the weight ended up on one of the bars, which is too much for one bar, and so it popped off. Busted off, really. Yeah, did it ruin our vacation? This is the part that I want to kind of stress to people. When you see something like this, you're going to think in your head, well, this is why I don't have a rooftop tent. I don't want to do things like that. The night that we found that it was gone was a bummer. It absolutely was. We were worried because it's an expensive piece of equipment that we've committed to using as a family adventure tool to enable us to get out more and do things like this. But do I regret that it fell off? No, I honestly don't. Now that it's done and over with, what you just saw was one of the more exciting adventures that I've gotten to have in a long time. Really, the experience enhanced our vacation exponentially. It was an opportunity for my wife and I to build our relationship together, to face a pretty daunting challenge for us together, and we did it. Just the 2 of us. You notice nobody else in that video. Those conditions are not friendly. The winds were, 40, 50 mile an hour winds easily. Now we're down on that slope a little bit, so they're definitely down some, but the GoPro camera does not do justice to what we were dealing with, and the two of us figured it out on our own. I'm very proud of us for that. I feel closer to my wife for it. I feel like our relationship, our marriage was deepened from it, and it is absolutely an amazing memory that I'm very proud of. No, we wouldn't have chosen for it to happen, but it's not something I regret now. Yeah, it's a bummer the tent's damaged. So what? So what? There are other tents. We can buy another tent down the road one day if this one falls apart completely, or we can have it repaired. What I want to stress to you is things like this don't have to ruin trips. And in fact, when handled properly, really add to the story. They add to the legend of the trip. They add to the experience. This is a funner trip. And this chunk right here, if I'm honest, for the whole vacation, this chunk right here went from this absolute nightmare that I was afraid was going to ruin the entire experience to maybe the highlight for me, because I like the adventurous stuff. I like facing challenges that are absolutely over my head and that I'm scared to face. Once you're in it and you're doing it, you just find out a lot more about yourself, and you find out more about what you are capable of. And I was reminded once again why God has given me an amazing spouse, a spouse that can take a beating and keep on ticking, so to speak, because I put her in a lot of crazy situations, and she faces them right by my side every time, and we come out of them every time. I'm glad that we faced it together. So I want you to hear that from me, honestly. Yeah, we were scared in the beginning. We were nervous. I was frazzled. I was upset. Why in the world did this happen? I was beating myself up. But at the end of the day, I did everything right. I've checked that tent 1,000 times on this trip. Not a nut or a bolt moved. Nothing moved. It was going to happen. I don't know why it happened, but it happened. And there's nothing I could have done to prevent it. Maybe drive up the hill a little slower. But considering the conditions I'd driven in, that wasn't on my mind one bit. And it absolutely did not ruin our trip. So I encourage you, if you're thinking about getting into doing some family adventuring, go for it. Jump off the deep end and just swim. It works out. Every time for us it has worked out. We've had a lot of oofs, what's ultimately been the inspiration for our channel name and our Instagram name. Oof, OOF, oof. It fits us. We end up in a lot of these situations where you goof up, you mess up, you don't get it right, but you keep moving forward and it works out. I hope you get out. I hope you go and explore and adventure with your family if you have one, or on your own if you don't. Just get out and live life and enjoy it, because there's so much to see and do. And Dinosaur National Monument is an amazing, amazing park. I had no idea what was there. I had no idea, and I will be going back. Hope to see you guys on the trail one day.